Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Today we've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. Look, I'm not some monster who's angry all the time. You don't build a bunch of shops if people can't stand you. Actually, most folks who meet me probably think I'm a pretty easygoing guy. But if you mess with me, that's when things change. I don't do little revenge tricks. I go all the way. Want to see? Alright, I used to play rugby, still do now and then. I was a lock, one of the big guys in the middle, tall and strong and not too slow for my size. One game, I was running after a high kick when this huge prop, number 1 on their team, just flattened me in the air. I landed hard, messed up my shoulder, and got a bit of a head knock. The ref said it was an accident, but I wasn't so sure. The team doctor checked me out and said I could go back on. When I got back on the field, the big guy gave me this smug grin, like he knew exactly what he'd done. That's when I decided. Next time we had a scrum, I made sure he felt it. He couldn't be sure it was my fist that got him, and the ref didn't see anything, but that was just the start. Then, luck was on my side, in a twisted way. Their number 1 got the ball and started running. He got tackled quick and the ruck formed, but he got the ball back clean to their scrum half. The scrum half was taking his sweet time, and that's when I saw my chance. I drove up under my opposite number in the ruck, knocked him off balance, and sent him flying into their number 5. He then fell right onto the loosehead's arm. Bad luck for him, his hand was on the ball when it happened, and the weight of those 2 guys snapped his forearm. When it all settled, I had stud marks on my face and neck where someone's boot had caught me, and my shoulder was throbbing again. The officials didn't see anything fishy, and as their number 1 was helped off, he gave me a hard stare. But since I was also getting looked at by the medics, he couldn't quite figure out if I'd had anything to do with his broken arm. Didn't matter to me. I knew, and that was enough. I'm not stupid enough to start a war, though. I got lucky that time. The chance just showed up, and what happened was even better than I expected. Honestly, I just wanted to slow him down enough to give him a good tackle later. But you get the idea. Cross me and you'll regret it. Running my shops means I know what sells, when it sells, and how much money should be going through the tills. I also spot any funny business with the cash pretty quick. Most of my staff are women wives, single mums, students. Not exactly rolling in cash. So, to stop them being tempted, I give them a good discount and let them take home old food, as long as it's just for them. Basically, I've made it so stealing isn't worth the risk. The pay's decent because the shops do well, but the extras really help them out. So, when my wife, Sarah, started taking out big chunks of cash from our joint account, it got my attention. I make good money, so I've never had a problem with her spending. That's what it's for, right? But she hardly ever uses cash. We don't even have credit cards. It's always her debit card. There are 2 things you need to know about me. First, even though that rugby thing might make me sound crazy, I'm a careful planner. On the field, it's all split-second decisions. But in real life, I think things through. That's why I invested in good shops, not the ones on the dodgy corners. Second, I loved Sarah, really loved her. Before jumping to the idea she was seeing someone else, I needed to know exactly what she was doing with the money. I owed her and myself that much. Okay, I'll admit it. Part of me was already thinking the worst. That's the vindictive side of me. I tend to expect the bad stuff. Still, the sensible part of me kept me grounded. There could have been a million reasons for the cash. Maybe she had a gambling problem. Maybe she was buying drugs. Hell, maybe she was saving up for a surprise or planning to leave. The question was, what was I going to do about it? All my shops have CCTV, cameras you can barely see unless you know where to look. But was I ready to bring that kind of spying into my own home? Bugging the house felt too much, even for me. I decided it was smarter to wait until she was out and have a look myself. I needed solid proof before I made a move. With the shops running smoothly and my office staff handling the paperwork, I had time to think. I walked down the street to clear my head and ended up in a phone shop. I've always liked gadgets. They were showing off software that could copy all the contacts from your SIM card to a computer. That gave me an idea. If I could get everything off our phones, I could search through the contacts and maybe find a clue. That evening, I installed the software. Sarah, can I borrow your phone for a second? Why? I got this new thing that backs up all your contacts. If your phone ever dies, you can put everything back on a new one without typing in all the numbers. Pretty useful. She hesitated. I think my battery's dead, she said. No problem. Plugs into the computer so it'll charge up. Good thing too, if your battery was really bad, it could mess up your data. After a moment, she reluctantly gave me her phone. I opened a folder on the computer, called it Phone Numbers, and copied everything from her phone. There you go, I said. It's all saved in a folder with your name. If you ever need it, just go straight there. Is it password protected? She asked. Nope. Easy to get to if you need it. I changed the subject, pretending to look at old cars online while she watched her soaps. I had my eye on a classic Jaguar. If the right one came along, it might be worth it. Eventually, Sarah had enough TV and went to make tea. The second she was gone, I quickly copied her file and emailed it to myself at work. I usually didn't bother looking at Sarah's phone bill. It was paid automatically, and I'd never had a reason to. But this time was different. I grabbed the folder from the desk and took it to work. My first step was to go through her phone numbers, and it didn't take long to see the problem. The second I saw the name Mike Davies, I knew. A quick look at her call history confirmed it. She was calling him a couple of times a day. Mike Davies wasn't just another shop owner. He also played football. And to me, as a rugby guy, that made it even worse. Now I needed to confirm what I suspected, that Sarah was having an affair and, even worse, using my money to pay for it. Following them myself wasn't an option. I could take time off work, but I'm a big bloke. I'd stick out like a sore thumb if I tried to tail them. A private investigator seemed like the only way. I flicked through the yellow pages and found a company in a town about 10 miles away. I deliberately avoided the security firm I used for my shops, even though they were the best. Chances were Davies used them too, and I didn't want any conflict of interest. I booked an appointment and took a couple of photos of Sarah. The PI was an ex-cop, you could tell by the way he carried himself. He seemed pretty successful, though for all I knew, he could have been a con artist. Didn't matter. All I needed was proof of the affair. He didn't need to be Sherlock Holmes. He said it would take about a week and wanted £1,000 up front, which I paid without thinking. On my way home, I noticed the petrol gauge was low and pulled into a small gas station to fill up. As I was filling the car, I looked around and thought, this place is a gold mine. It had potential. When I went inside to pay, I saw it was a small family business, just an older couple. We started talking, and soon they said they were thinking of retiring but hadn't done anything about selling. I asked their price, quickly figured out it was about £250,000 less than it was worth, and told them to get a professional valuation. Before leaving, I gave them my card. Look, I said, I'm a businessman, but I have to look at myself in the mirror. I might have a mean streak, but I don't rip people off. Well, not much. A week later, I got 2 important calls. The first was from the old couple, almost sounding embarrassed. They said the valuation was what I'd guessed. They seemed shocked when I agreed to their price straight away and asked for their lawyer's details. The second call was from the PI, and it wasn't so nice. He confirmed Sarah was cheating, but not just with Mike Davies. She'd met another guy for lunch and then spent the evening with Davies while I was at rugby practice. I told the PI to dig deeper and get me more details. Later, I drove down to pay the PI and check out the gas station. The investigator gave me photos of Sarah with Mike and the other bloke. The pictures were in public, nothing explicit yet, but damning enough. I handed over another £1,000 and told him to get me solid proof for court. Undeniable evidence of the affair and the other guy's name. I played it cool for another week, still doing my husbandly duties in the bedroom. A shag's a shag, you take it when it's offered. Sarah didn't act any different, not more distant, not more eager. Oral was off the menu during the week, as usual. I wasn't too worried about STDs since we always used condoms. Sarah refused to take the pill, said it made her gain weight. By Friday, the PI had the final pieces. The other guy was a salesman named Paul Smith who sold bits and pieces to shops like mine. Sewing kits, tape, fuses, that kind of thing. Sarah had been to his flat twice that week. As for Mike Davies, their dates included some heavy stuff in a quiet car park while I was at training. That was it. My marriage was over. I'd seen and heard enough. There was no going back. Timing was key, though. Knowing her cycle, I figured she'd be out of action soon, which gave me the perfect chance to start my plan. I grabbed some chilies from one of the shops and carefully squeezed out the juice. I smeared it on the crotch of a few pairs of her big knickers, the ones she kept for her period. I wasn't finished. With a needle, I injected a bit of the juice into her tampons. I'd heard of guys using wintergreen for pranks like this, but that stuff smells. Chili seemed more subtle. I wasn't sure it would work, but it felt like a decent bet. Davies was a regular at the local five-a-side football games, where I sometimes played for fitness. My lack of skill with the ball was a joke, but I was fast and had good stamina. Goalkeeping rotated, so everyone had a go, and my rugby background gave me an edge when it was my turn. Davies, full of himself, thought he could run rings around me. He was good with the ball, no doubt, but when he got close while I was in goal, he couldn't get past. He tried a few sneaky kicks. I made sure to point it out, laughing it off. But the message was clear. When the other team scored, we swapped keepers. Davies kept trying to get under my skin, taunting me when he tried to take the ball. I was a bit clumsy with my feet, lightly clipping his ankle. Later, when he had the ball, I accidentally body-checked him hard enough to send him sprawling. Of course, I apologized, blaming my lack of experience with the faster pace, and even helped him up. He didn't take it well, but the others backed me up. They'd seen his earlier cheap shots. The next game, Davies went too far with a reckless tackle aimed at taking me out. I saw it coming and timed my move. As he lunged, his foot slammed down where my ankle should have been, but instead, His knee smashed into my swinging boot. The force twisted his knee in a way it wasn't meant to go. The sound of tearing stuff was unmistakable, followed by his screams. Again, I put on a concerned act, apologizing like crazy for the accident. But no one else believed him. They'd all seen him try to hurt me, and they made it clear he had only himself to blame. We called an ambulance, and I even offered to drive his car home for him just to be helpful, you know? He refused, obviously, but the damage was done. By this point, Sarah was feeling the effects of the tampered underwear and tampons. The chili juice was definitely working, and she was clearly uncomfortable. After a couple of days, she finally went to the doctor. Of course, the doctor had no idea and gave her a cream, which she hid in her bag. I hadn't messed with all her tampons, so it wouldn't be too obvious when her period ended. When I got back from football one evening, I found her on the sofa, fuming. Her face was a storm. "You bastard! Who is she?" she snapped. "What?" I replied, playing dumb. "Don't act innocent. You've given me something. Who is she? I'm going to take you for everything you've got. You cheating piece of shit." "Wasn't me," I said calmly. "Must have been Mike Davies or Paul Smith." Hearing their names hit her hard. Her anger turned to shock. You know?" she stammered. Without a word, I opened my briefcase and handed her a copy of the PI's report. "Pack your things and get out of my house," I said coldly. Tears welled up as she broke down. "Where am I supposed to go?" she wailed. "Not my problem," I shot back. "But if you've given me something, you're getting nothing from me. Not a damn thing." I was beyond angry. As I said before, Sarah refused the pill because of her weight. So we used condoms. If she had something now, it meant she'd been sleeping with them without protection. Disgusting. Serves her right. I grabbed a roll of bin bags and went upstairs. "I'll give you a hand packing," I shouted, dumping everything from her drawers into the bags without caring what went in. Once I had all her stuff packed, I loaded it into her car, took her keys, ripped the house key off the ring, and kicked her out. I slammed the door, fuming, grabbed a beer, and sank into the recliner. I'd known she was cheating, but having it thrown in my face like that was too much. Felt like my heart had been ripped out. I drank a lot to numb the pain. When I woke up the next morning, I had to deal with the mess. Surprisingly, my hangover wasn't as bad as I expected, probably thanks to being in decent shape. I went to work feeling terrible. I did the usual stuff, made an appointment with my lawyer, and then closed my office door to think. Oddly, I didn't feel like getting revenge on Sarah, Davies, or Smith anymore. I just felt empty. My staff noticed right away, and Big Brenda, the store's unofficial advice giver, was sent in to talk to me. Brenda was in her late 50s, had seen everything, and was one of those no-nonsense, motherly types who didn't let anyone get away with anything. She sat down opposite me, waiting. All right, I said. "Sarah's been cheating, and I kicked her out. That's it. I'm not going to do anything stupid, so you don't need to worry." "Maybe not now, but I know you," Brenda replied. "Give it some time, and you'll do something that'll land you in jail." "Who's she been seeing?" "Mike Davies and some bloke called Smith." "Oh, for God's sake. You're not planning to break their legs, are you?" I chuckled. "Actually, I messed up Davies' knee last night." "Oh, Jesus. Are the police involved?" "No," I laughed again. "We clashed during five-a-side, and he came off worse." She gave me a disapproving look. "Boss, you've got a lot of people who depend on you, and they like working for you. It's time you grew up a bit. You don't need to prove yourself all the time anymore. People come to your shops because they know you're reliable, and they know you'll help them out if they need it. Davies only gets business because you let him. This revenge thing you've got is completely against your usual character." I looked at her, a bit surprised. Brenda laughed. "Everyone knows you're straight up, but if someone crosses you, you make sure they pay. That's why you don't have many problems. Now get it together. Stop obsessing over revenge, and start enjoying your life. The business will take care of itself. This is the perfect time to change how you see things. There'll be women lining up now that you're single again. If I were a few years younger." She trailed off, looking at me with a playful glint. "If it weren't for your Kevin." I let the thought hang. Brenda was a good-looking woman. "You cheeky bugger," she blushed. "I'm old enough to be your mother. You started it." As Brenda left, I realized she was right. I'd spent my life as Brenda left. I realized she was right. I'd spent my life building a business, always feeling like I had to prove something. It was time to stop that. Even my rugby was just me trying to show myself I was tough enough. Sitting there, I took stock of my life and made a big decision. It was time to grow up. Right then and there, the need for revenge just faded away. My business was doing well, the size I was happy with. I could manage it myself and still have a good relationship with my staff. But I also started going out more. I still played rugby, but now it was just for fun and to stay fit. And I actually enjoyed it more. I took up dancing and joined a hiking group. I spent a lot of time hiking in Europe in the summer and met some interesting women along the way. Fresh air and nice views seemed to be good for meeting people from other countries. As for what happened with Sarah and her fellas, well, the divorce wasn't great for her. I did the right thing by the old couple with the gas station, paid them what it was worth, but to buy them out and fix the place up, I had to get a loan on my own house. Just getting rid of the old petrol tanks cost a fortune. So, when the divorce went through, according to my accountant, I was left with a lot of debt since we'd only been married for 5 years and had no kids. My lawyer arranged a clean break based on what I owned. Sarah got the house, but she had to take over the mortgage. She had to go back to work and struggle to keep up with the payments. Eventually, the house was sold, and she disappeared from my life. As far as I know, she probably found someone else to latch onto. I never did figure out why she got involved with Davies. As for Davies, his leg never fully healed, and he now walks with a stick. His football days are over and he's put on a lot of weight. To make things worse, his car was broken into outside the football club that night. His laptop and briefcase were stolen, and there were rumors he also lost a lot of cash, though he didn't tell the police about that. Between his slow recovery and losing his laptop, he had to sell a couple of his shops. I thought it was only fair to help out, seeing as I was partly responsible for his injury. So I bought his 2 best shops. He was managing with what he had left until his laptop and some papers were found by the police. I'm now in the process of buying him out completely, just to help him clear his debts with the taxman. As for Paul Smith, he sold bits and pieces to a lot of shops, though not mine. Somehow, word got out about his affair with Sarah. Turns out she wasn't the only wife he was seeing, and when someone else found out, Smith ended up getting a bad beating. The police had too many suspects to figure out who did it, so no one was ever charged. Karma has a funny way of showing up. And just to be clear, it wasn't me. I had other plans that night involving someone interesting I'd met on a hike. Still, Brenda didn't seem too surprised when she heard the news. Maybe, just maybe, I've grown up a little. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. See you next time.